Dr. Sarah Chen stood frozen before the massive display screen at the Arecibo 2 Radio Observatory, her coffee mug suspended halfway to her lips. The pattern pulsing across her display defied every natural phenomenon she'd studied in her 15 years of astronomical research. The signal was too precise, too structured, and most importantly, it was answering back. "Run it again," she ordered, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. The powerful quantum computers of Earth's largest radio observatory churned through the calculations once more. The result remained unchanged. They weren't just detecting an alien signal, they were detecting thousands of them, all carefully hidden within what humanity had always dismissed as background radiation. The year was 2157, and humanity was about to discover they'd been living in a carefully constructed cage. Within hours, the observatory's secured quantum channels lit up with traffic from similar facilities worldwide. FAST-2 in China, KA in South Africa, and the Lunar Far Side Array all reported the same findings. The revelation had come through a seemingly routine upgrade to Earth's quantum detection systems, an upgrade that had accidentally pierced what could only be described as a technological veil. Admiral James Okonjo, head of the United Earth Defense Force, stood in the observatory's main control room 12 hours later, his dark eyes reflecting the cascade of data streaming across the holographic displays. "You're telling me," he said slowly, "that we're surrounded by an advanced galactic civilization that's been deliberately hiding itself from us." Dr. Chen nodded, pulling up a three-dimensional map of local space. "Look here," she said, highlighting a series of points. "These aren't random transmissions. They're nav beacons, trade routes, and what appear to be automated customs checkpoints. There's an entire infrastructure out there, Admiral. They've built it all around us, carefully steering clear of our detection capabilities. Until now. The signal that had originally caught Dr. Chen's attention was different from the others. It was a warning beacon, broadcasting on frequencies that should have been impossible for humanity to detect. The message, once decoded, was chilling in its bureaucratic simplicity. Fuerantain zone. Species ID. Human. Status. Contained. 3 ASCSSNint. Elevated. Oversight. Astral Koenigsila Vid. Diarrhea V147. As the implications sank in, humanity's response was characteristically defiant. Instead of panic, there was determination. Rather than fear, there was curiosity. Within days, a classified project designated Silent Phoenix was initiated across all major research installations. Dr. Chen found herself working alongside Dr. Marcus Wong, a quantum computing specialist whose work had inadvertently led to piercing the veil. "They've been watching us," Marcus said one night as they pored over the decoded transmissions. "All our wars, our struggles, our triumphs. They've been taking notes and deciding we're too dangerous to join their club." "Then they don't understand humans very well," Sarah replied, a slight smile playing across her face. "Because nothing motivates us more than being told we can't do something." The breakthrough came 3 months later, hidden in the depths of Antarctica. A research team drilling for ice cores found something impossible. A fragment of advanced technology, clearly alien in origin, preserved in the ice for what dating suggested was over 100,000 years. It wasn't a crash site or a lost artifact. It was a monitoring device, ancient but still attempting to function. Admiral Okonjo stood in the freezing Antarctic research station, watching as Earth's best minds carefully dissected the alien technology. "They've been here all along," he mused, "watching us crawl out of the caves, develop tools, split the atom, and judging us," Dr. Chen added, her breath frosting in the cold air. "But they made one crucial mistake." She held up a component from the alien device, its strange geometries catching the light. "They left behind breadcrumbs, and humanity has always been exceptionally good at following trails we're not supposed to find." As 2157 drew to a close, Humanity had made its choice. They would not rage against the cage that had been built around them. They would not broadcast their discovery to the stars. Instead, they would do what humans had always done best: adapt, innovate, and prepare. The astral conclave had placed humanity in a cage, believing they were containing a dangerous species. What they failed to understand was that they hadn't trapped humanity in a cage with them. They had trapped themselves in a galaxy with humanity. And humanity had just found the key. Dr. Chen made one final entry in her personal log that night. They thought they could study us like specimens in a zoo. They forgot that every now and then, the creatures in the zoo turn out to be far cleverer than their keepers imagined. Humanity has been contained, controlled, and constrained. But now we know. And knowledge, as we've proven time and time again, is the most powerful weapon of all. The signal that had started it all continued to pulse overhead, broadcasting its warning to passing alien ships. Quarantine zone. Species ID. Human. Status. Contained. Soon enough, they would learn just how wrong that status assessment was. 2 years had passed since the discovery of the alien monitoring device in Antarctica, and the subterranean research facility, known as Deep Core, had become humanity's best-kept secret. 5 kilometers beneath the ice, Dr. Marcus Wong walked through laboratories where the impossible was becoming routine. "The quantum architecture in this thing," he muttered, manipulating a holographic representation of the alien device's core. "It's not just advanced. It's elegant. They weren't just monitoring us. They were actively dampening our technological progress." Dr. Sarah Chen looked up from her own workstation, where simulation results painted the air with ghostly equations. "The suppression field?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. The discovery had shaken the scientific community to its core. Subtle quantum interference patterns, specifically designed to make certain technological breakthroughs just slightly harder to achieve. "They've been keeping us in the scientific equivalent of quicksand," Marcus confirmed. "But now we know how they did it. We can do something they never expected. We can use their own technology against them." The Deep Core facility had transformed over the past 2 years. What had started as a research station had evolved into humanity's secret forge. Teams of scientists and engineers worked in shifts around the clock, reverse engineering alien technology, while carefully maintaining the appearance of normal technological progression on the surface. Admiral Okonjo, his hair now streaked with more gray than black, stood at the facility's central command center. Holographic displays showed the status of projects scattered across Earth's hidden facilities, each one carefully shielded from the astral conclave's watching eyes. "Project Aurora is ready for testing," a young engineer reported, her eyes bright with excitement. Aurora was humanity's answer to the suppression field, a quantum catalyst that would not only negate the alien dampening effect, but amplify human technological development. "Proceed," Okonjo ordered, his voice carrying the weight of humanity's future. In a shielded chamber deep within the facility, the first Aurora device hummed to life. The effect was subtle at first, a slight shift in quantum probability fields, a minor adjustment to local physical constants. But as the hours passed, the results became undeniable. Technological developments that should have taken decades began manifesting in weeks. "It's like they gave us the key to our own evolution," Sarah mused, watching as prototype quantum computers exceeded their theoretical limits. "Every restriction they placed on us, every barrier they created, it's all becoming a blueprint for advancement." The secret revolution spread quietly across the globe. Hidden facilities beneath the Mariana Trench, carved into the Himalayan mountains, and buried in the Sahara Desert began producing technologies that would have seemed like magic just years before. But on the surface, humanity maintained its carefully crafted illusion of normal development. Marcus stood before a wall of screens displaying their latest breakthrough, a quantum shielding system that could hide entire cities from detection. "We're not just catching up to them," he said quietly. "We're surpassing them in ways they never imagined." The Astral Conclave's monitoring systems continued to report that humanity was safely contained, developing at a controlled pace. Their sensors showed exactly what they expected to see: a young species still grappling with basic spaceflight and environmental challenges. They didn't detect the quantum shipyards being constructed in Earth's asteroid belt, hidden behind veils of twisted space-time. They missed the development of consciousness transfer technology that would revolutionize human expansion into space. And most importantly, they remained unaware of the network of quantum sensors that now gave humanity a complete view of their operations throughout the galaxy. "We've mapped their entire defense grid," Admiral Okonjo announced during a secure briefing. "Every checkpoint, every patrol route, every hidden monitoring station. We know more about their security system than they do, because they never imagined we could see it." Sarah worked late into the night, perfecting the quantum communication system that would unite Earth's hidden forces. "They thought isolation would weaken us," she said to Marcus as they reviewed the latest test results. "They didn't realize that humans thrive on overcoming limitations." As the third year of humanity's silent revolution drew to a close, Deep Core received an urgent signal from their quantum detection grid. The Astral Conclave was mobilizing forces on an unprecedented scale, and long-range sensors indicated they were preparing for something big. "They're planning to sterilize 3 other emerging civilizations," Marcus reported grimly, showing the gathered leaders the data, "just like they've probably done countless times before, because these species showed too much dangerous potential." Admiral Okonjo's expression hardened as he surveyed the room filled with humanity's greatest minds and most advanced technologies. "Then it's time," he said firmly. "We didn't develop all this just to watch others suffer the same fate they planned for us." Sarah nodded, her fingers already dancing across control surfaces as she initiated protocols they had hoped they wouldn't need so soon. "The cage is about to learn that its specimen has evolved," she said quietly, "and humanity's first act of freedom will be to ensure no other species faces what we did." Across the solar system, hidden quantum drives hummed to life as humanity prepared to reveal just how far they had come. The silent revolution was over. The time for action had arrived. The Astral Conclave's sterilization fleet emerged from quantum space at the edge of the Sol system, a massive armada of crystalline ships that shimmered like stars. Their arrival was meant to be undetectable. It wasn't. In Deep Core's command center, Admiral Okonjo watched the fleet's arrival through quantum sensor feeds. "Right on schedule," he said, his voice carrying a calm that belied the gravity of the moment. "Time to show them what humanity has become." The Conclave's initial broadcast echoed through Earth's communication systems, designed to bypass all defenses they believed humanity possessed. Species designation: human. Your aggressive development patterns have been deemed a threat to galactic stability. Containment protocols have failed. Sterilization is authorized. You will not suffer. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at her station, exchanging a knowing look with Marcus. 3 years of preparation had led to this moment. "Should we answer them, Admiral?" Okonjo nodded. "Let's introduce ourselves properly." Across the solar system, humanity's hidden achievements suddenly blazed into existence. Quantum shields dropped, revealing massive orbital platforms around every major planet. The asteroid belt shimmered as shipyards phased into normal space, hundreds of vessels emerging from their chrysalis of twisted space-time. The human response was broadcast on frequencies the Conclave thought impossible for Earth to access. "Astral Conclave vessels, this is Admiral James Okonjo of the United Earth Defense Force. We've been expecting you, and we've prepared a demonstration." Before the Conclave fleet could react, quantum signals rippled through space. Every monitoring station they had hidden in the solar system over millennia simultaneously deactivated. Their suppression field, maintained for centuries, dissolved like mist in morning sun. "Impossible," the Conclave commander's transmission crackled with disbelief. "Your species cannot possess this level of technology. Our containment protocols became our teaching manual. Marcus interrupted, his voice carried across the quantum channels. Every restriction you placed on us, we studied. Every barrier became a blueprint. You didn't contain us. You educated us. The Conclave fleet moved to battle formations, their crystalline ships aligning for what they believed would be a swift execution. But humanity had other plans. Sarah activated the Aurora network, and the fabric of space itself seemed to shiver. Quantum probability fields shifted, and suddenly the human ships were operating on physics the Conclave didn't even know existed. You're not the first species that tried to sterilize. Okonjo broadcast to Earth's defending forces. But you're going to help make sure they're the last to suffer this fate. The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries to come. Conclave weapons, designed to overwhelm primitive planetary defenses, splashed harmlessly against quantum shields that operated on principles their creators had never imagined. Human vessels, powered by drives reverse-engineered from ancient monitoring devices, danced through space in ways that should have been impossible. But humanity didn't just fight. They broadcast. Every moment of the battle was transmitted across the galaxy on frequencies the Conclave couldn't block, showing other suppressed civilizations that their overlords could be resisted. Your containment has failed, Sarah announced as human quantum beams carved through Conclave formations with surgical precision. Not because we were stronger, but because you never understood what humans truly are. We don't just adapt, we transform. We don't just learn, we revolutionize. The Conclave commander's final transmission betrayed their fundamental misunderstanding of humanity. Why did you hide your development? Why not strike before we arrived in force? Marcus answered as the last Conclave ships retreated in disarray. Because humanity's goal isn't domination. It's liberation. Your arrival wasn't just expected, it was necessary. The galaxy needed to see that the Conclave's power isn't absolute. As the battle ended, quantum sensors detected hundreds of signals from across the galaxy. Other species, reaching out from their own quantum-dampened cages, asking how humanity had broken free. Admiral Okonjo stood in Deep Core's command center, watching the signals multiply. And now, he said quietly, the real work begins. Today we fought for our freedom. Tomorrow, we fight for everyone else's. Sarah and Marcus worked through the night, preparing packages of quantum technology and Aurora devices to be secretly distributed to other suppressed civilizations. The Conclave's defeat at Earth wasn't just a military victory. It was the first spark of a revolution that would reshape the galaxy. They thought they were gods, Sarah mused, watching the quantum transmission streams light up with hidden communications from dozens of species. But they forgot that gods can fall, especially when they underestimate their creations. The awakening had begun. Humanity had not just broken free, they had shattered the very foundations of the Conclave's power. And across the galaxy, other species were starting to stir in their cages, dreams of freedom suddenly seeming possible. The cage had been broken, and its makers were about to learn why humanity had always thrived best in the face of adversity. 6 months after humanity's victory over the Conclave fleet, the Proxima Centauri quantum shipyards had become the heart of an interstellar underground railroad. Dr. Sarah Chen watched as the latest group of alien scientists emerged from their transport vessel, their bioluminescent skin pulsing with barely contained excitement. The Lumini, Marcus explained, consulting his quantum tablet. Their civilization was on the verge of developing organic computing when the Conclave locked them down. 300 years of suppressed potential, about to be unleashed. The revolution had taken on a life of its own. Humanity's victory had shattered the illusion of Conclave invincibility, but it was their next move that truly changed the game. Sharing their quantum technology with other suppressed species. Admiral Okonjo stood on the observation deck of Earth's new flagship, the UES Liberation, watching as ships from a dozen different species maneuvered through training exercises. We're not just teaching them to fight, he said. We're teaching them to be free. The Conclave's response to their defeat at Earth had been predictable. They had tightened their grip on their remaining subject worlds. But they hadn't counted on humanity's expertise in asymmetric warfare and covert operations. Another suppression field down, Sarah announced, monitoring the quantum network that now spanned several star systems. The Kethera system is awake. Their orbital engineers are already adapting our quantum shield designs to their crystalline technology. The liberation movement operated like a virus in the conclave systems. Each freed civilization brought new perspectives, new technologies, new ways of thinking that strengthened the resistance. The Lumini's organic computing merged with human quantum technology. The Kethera's crystal engineering enhanced their stealth capabilities. But the Conclave hadn't survived for millennia by being unprepared. Their response came in the form of a massive counteroffensive, targeting not Earth, but the newly freed worlds. "They're trying to make an example," Marcus observed grimly, watching the quantum sensor feeds. "Show the galaxy what happens to species that dare to break free." What they hadn't counted on was humanity's contingency planning. As conclave warfleets approached the rebel worlds, they found not primitive civilizations scrambling to defend themselves, but prepared allies armed with hybrid technologies that surpassed even Earth's innovations. The Lumini's organic quantum computers predicted conclave strategies faster than they could execute them. Keth-era crystal ships phased through space in ways that made them practically invincible. And coordinating it all was human tactical expertise, turned toward liberation rather than conquest. "We're not just breaking chains," Sarah explained to a gathering of alien scientists in deep core. "We're building something new. Every species the Conclave suppressed has unique insights, different ways of seeing the universe. Together, we're not just catching up to the Conclave, we're surpassing them." The turning point came not in a massive space battle, but in a quiet transmission that rippled through the quantum network. A Conclave colony world, seeing the success of the liberation movement, had risen from within. Their own people were beginning to question millennia of doctrine. Admiral Okonjo received the news with characteristic calm. "And that," he said, "is how empires fall, not just from external pressure, but from their own people realizing there's a better way." The resistance movement transformed into something greater, an alliance of free worlds, each contributing their unique strengths to a new galactic society. Earth, as the catalyst of this change, found itself in an unexpected role, not as a military leader, but as a mediator helping newly freed civilizations find their place. Marcus stood with Sarah in the quantum laboratory, where it had all started, now filled with scientists from a dozen worlds. "You know what the Conclave's biggest mistake was?" he asked, watching a Lumini researcher merge organic computing with their quantum systems. "They thought suppressing advancement meant suppressing understanding. Instead, they gave us all time to think, to dream, to plan." The Conclave's power base continued to erode as more worlds awakened to their potential. Their mighty fleets found themselves outmaneuvered not just by superior technology, but by the combined creativity of species they had dismissed as primitive. Sarah's quantum network had become a galaxy-wide symphony of shared knowledge and innovation. Every species they suppressed, she observed, had something unique to offer. They tried to create uniformity, but instead they cultivated diversity just waiting to flourish. As the fourth year of the liberation movement drew to a close, the galaxy had transformed. The Conclave's perfect order had given way to a vibrant chaos of cultural and technological exchange. Their suppression fields, meant to contain progress, had instead created pressure chambers of potential that now burst forth with unstoppable force. Admiral Okonjo, reviewing reports from across known space, smiled at a message from one of the newly freed worlds. They had taken humanity's quantum technology and merged it with their own unique understanding of spacetime, creating something entirely new. "That," he said, "is why we fight for freedom. Not to remake others in our image, but to let every species find their own path to the stars." The chains were breaking, faster than anyone had predicted, and in their place grew something the Conclave had never imagined. A galaxy where diversity wasn't just tolerated, but celebrated as the source of true strength. The grand chamber of the newly established Foundation of Free Worlds hummed with activity as representatives from over 100 liberated species gathered for a historic moment. 5 years had passed since humanity's first defiant stand against the Conclave, and the galaxy had transformed beyond recognition. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the quantum-enhanced podium, her eyes sweeping across the assembled delegates. Bioluminescent lumini pulsed beside crystalline Cathara, while dozens of other species filled the chamber with a riot of colors, forms, and evolutionary paths that the Conclave had once sought to suppress. The last Conclave suppression field fell today, she announced, her voice carrying across the chamber in 100 different translated frequencies. Their final holdout has joined the Foundation. The era of forced containment is officially over. The celebration that erupted wasn't just about victory, it was about possibility. In the 5 years since the revolution began, the combined technological advancement of the freed species had exceeded even humanity's most optimistic predictions. Admiral Okonjo, his uniform now bearing the insignia of the Foundation's defensive fleet, watched from his position near the chamber's entrance. "They called us dangerous," he mused to Marcus, who stood beside him. "They weren't wrong. We were dangerous to their control, their uniformity, their fear of change." The Foundation's achievements stood as testament to what free species could accomplish together. The Lumini's organic quantum computers had revolutionized space travel. Cathara crystal engineering had made clean, unlimited energy a reality for even the smallest colonies, and dozens of other species had contributed innovations that the Conclave had never dreamed possible. Marcus stepped forward to share the latest breakthrough. A unified quantum network that allowed instantaneous communication and cooperation across the galaxy. "This is what they feared," he said, displaying the network's connections as a glowing web above the chamber. "Not our weapons or our defiance, but our ability to work together, to combine our unique perspectives into something greater than the sum of its parts." The former Conclave worlds, now free from millennia of enforced stagnation, had joined the Foundation not as conquered territories but as equal partners. Their ancient knowledge, combined with the fresh perspectives of liberated species, had created a renaissance of art, science, and exploration. "We stand here today," Sarah continued, "not as conquerors or rulers, but as partners in the greatest experiment the galaxy has ever seen. The Foundation isn't built on suppression or control, but on a simple truth. Diversity breeds innovation, cooperation breeds strength, and freedom breeds progress." The quantum displays showed the transformation. Dead worlds revitalized by combined environmental engineering, new colonies establishing themselves on the edges of known space, and research stations where dozens of species worked together to unlock the universe's mysteries. Humanity's greatest contribution wasn't our technology or our military strength, Admiral Okonjo addressed the chamber. "It was our refusal to accept limitations, our drive to question authority, and our belief that everyone deserves the chance to reach their full potential." The Foundation's charter, displayed in holographic form above the chamber, enshrined these principles: mutual defense, shared knowledge, and absolute prohibition of technological or cultural suppression. Every member species had signed it not out of fear or coercion, but out of shared vision for a better galaxy. Marcus presented the final data from the quantum network. Technological advancement rates had increased by orders of magnitude since the liberation began. Problems that had stumped individual species for centuries were being solved through collaborative efforts. The galaxy wasn't just advancing, it was flourishing. The Conclave thought they were protecting the galaxy from chaos, Sarah concluded, but they were really protecting themselves from progress. In trying to cage the potential of so many species, they only ensured that when the cage finally broke, the release of creative energy would transform everything. As the chamber erupted in applause, Admiral Okonjo received a quantum transmission from Earth. Another group of young species had been discovered on the galaxy's rim, their civilizations just beginning to reach for the stars. The Foundation's response was immediate and unanimous. They would be welcomed, guided, and supported, never suppressed. That's the difference, Marcus said, watching the chamber vote to extend protection to the newly discovered worlds. We remember what it was like to be caged, and we've sworn that no species will ever face that again. The quantum network pulsed with activity as the news spread across Foundation space. Research teams eagerly prepared to study and learn from the newly discovered civilizations. The galaxy had transformed from a carefully controlled hierarchy into a vibrant democracy of ideas and innovation. Sarah's final entry in the Foundation's inaugural record captured the moment perfectly. The conclave tried to write a story of control and suppression. Instead, they created the perfect conditions for a revolution not just of technology or politics, but of thought itself. They wanted to cage the starlight. We taught the stars how to dance together. As the celebration continued in the chamber, the quantum displays showed new ships launching from Foundation worlds, carrying not weapons or threats, but knowledge, hope, and the promise that in this new galaxy, every species would have the chance to write their own destiny among the stars. The dawn had arrived, and it was more beautiful than anyone could have imagined.